Hello and welcome to the Motorway Man, and welcome back to my series where I'll be looking at the service station history of Britain's motorways, looking at some new, some old and some undeveloped service stations across the UK, and in today's show we'll be looking at the M20. Now, as always, before we get into things, I ask that you subscribe because it makes all the time and effort to make these videos worth it. And if you're feeling super generous, consider supporting me on Patreon for loads of perks and benefits that you're not going to find anywhere else. So, some basic information to get us going. The M20 is 50 miles long and opened in 1971. Parts of the road, however, are significantly older. The M20 runs from London to Folkestone via Maidstone and today has 2 service stations and 1 truck stop. But if all plans came to fruition, at one point it could have had up to 7 potential service stations. So let's get into the video. So we'll be starting our journey at the M20's official start point in Swanley, where the A20 becomes the M20 just before the junction we know as the Swanley interchange with the M25. And it is at this interchange where we would find our first stop of the day, Pedham Place Services. This site was proposed in 1979 and would sit on the busy Swanley interchange with the M25 motorway. Now, the M25 motorway had their own plans for service stations, and they never planned to have a service station in that location, so the application was refused in 1986. But the developers did make this interesting model, which shows you what the services would have looked like had it been built. I found that quite interesting, and this photo dates back to the 1980s. But yeah, unfortunately, realising this service station wouldn't be an option, so M20 service station planners looked at alternative options. One was a bit further down the road, and this was going to be Brands Hatch Services, proposed to sit between Junction 1 and 2. The site was proposed in 1995 by Extra but never got anywhere due to the planned service station to sit on Greenbelt land. So unfortunately for Extra, the services was refused in 1997. And then the next failed service station, and as I say, I'm still between Junction 1 and 2, is West Kingsdown Services. That was planned in 1986, but was refused many years later in 1997 due to confusion again caused by the nearby M25. So for our next proposal, developers obviously realised building too close to the M25 was getting them nowhere. So as they moved further down the M20 and between Junction 7 and 8, we would arrive at our next failed service station. Delting Services. Delting Services was the M20's first proposed service station, planned as early as 1962, way before the M20 was even a thing. Delting Services was objected to in the end by the local environment community or something like that, and they said that Delting Services would destroy the landscape and therefore was never built. So an alternative location was looked for, and this came just a few miles down the M20 at Junction 8, where we would find Road Chef's Maidstone Services. Maidstone Services opened in 1999 at the M20's first service station. Maidstone is a nice quaint services, with usually some great flowers outside. Reminds me of a larger version of Durham Services. It's all on the channel, by the way, if you want to check it out. But yeah, anyway, Road Chef's Maidstone Services, the M20's first service station at Junction 8, and it still exists today too. But we must move on, and on we would come to Junction 10 and Ashford International Truck Stop. Ashford International Truck Stop is a truck stop just off Junction 10 of the M20 that originally opened in 1994, but was rebuilt in 2021, and now is nice and modern. It was also voted Britain's best truck stop if you are interested. And finally, we would come to the last service station on the M20, and that's Folkestone, operated by Stop 24. Now, Folkestone Services opened in 2008 and is absolutely huge. It's superb. Now, it's one of the few service stations I haven't visited yet, so I'd really like to go there one day. But as you can see from the pictures, Folkestone Services is, just absolutely great. It's also the biggest service station on the motorway, so the M20 can say it has the biggest motorway service station that there is. So Folkestone is definitely well worth a stop, and is a pretty cool one to say the least. And not long after this, we would shortly be approaching the M20's end, shortly after Junction 13, where it becomes the A20 once again and continues its journey towards Dover. So there we have it, an entire service station history of the M20 motorway. So I've prepared some ending information for you, so here we go. We'll start with the mile averages. So from the start of the motorway to Maidstone services, there was a 23-mile drive. From Maidstone services to Ashford truck stop, there is a 9-mile drive. From Ashford International Truck Stop to Folkestone services, there is an 8-mile drive. And from Folkestone services to the end of the motorway, there's a 5-mile drive. So on average, there is a service station on the motorway every 15 miles. And there is somewhere a truck can go, because there's that extra truck stop, every 8 miles. Which is well within the government target of a service station every 30 miles. So well done, M20 motorway. Next, we come to the service station operators, with Maidstone being operated by Roadchef, Ashford International Truck Stop being privately owned, and Folkestone services being operated by Stop 24. So to summarise, that makes that Roadchef has one service station on the M20, one is privately owned, and one is operated by Stop 24. So there we go, a complete and entire service station history of every single proposed service station or once existed or could have existed, or every current service station, even a truck stop. So there you have it. So thanks for tuning in today. If you are enjoying this series, come back next week for another exciting motorway, and I shall catch you in the next one of the service station tour next Sunday. Another exciting motorway the following week, maybe the M5, who knows. But until then, I shall catch you in the next one. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. Follow me on Twitter. Help me out on Patreon for loads of perks and benefits you won't find anywhere else. Give the video a thumbs up while you're down there, and I shall catch you in the next one. Goodbye.